students. Today I'm going to teach you how to make this St. Patrick's Day inspired artwork that features some Shamrock Silhouettes and some other St. Patrick's themed imagery like gold coins and rainbow confetti. I hope you'll follow along. Let's get started. To begin, you're going to need a little piece of cardstock. A square shape is helpful, and I have lots of tracers for you to use. You're just going to trace it and then cut it out to begin. Once you finish cutting, it's a good idea to write your name on your shamrock and to throw your scraps in the recycling bin to keep your workspace clean. Okay, next you're going to need to get a piece of paper. We always start with our first and last name on our paper and your teacher code. I'll use Mr. Lane's class as an example. 3rd grade, Mr. Lane. I'm going to flip my paper over so my name is on the back. I'm going to place my tracer, and we're going to use oil pastels for the next step. Oil pastels are really fun because they're soft like crayons, but they make a bit of a brighter mark. So I'm going to use 2 different shades of green because it's a St. Patrick's Day theme. If you want to use other colors, you absolutely can. It might be kind of fun if you know you're going to make 5 or 6 of these to use different rainbow colors, because rainbows kind of keep in with the theme of St. Patrick's Day, but you could do any colors you wanted. If you're going to use 2 colors like I am, it makes sense to use 2 different shades of the same color, or at the very least 2 colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, because the colors might overlap and touch each other in some places, and you want them to make a nice new color where they touch. So I'm going to hold this still with a couple of fingers and use the oil pastel to trace it. But you'll notice that when I'm tracing, I'm going back and forth several times because I really want to put a lot of oil pastel color down on the paper, and you'll see why in a moment. I'm going to use both greens. Okay, the next part is important and really fun. Notice I'm going to keep my tracer in place, and I'm going to use one finger and start on the tracer and push in an outward direction away from the tracer. It's a very short motion. I don't want to make big long streaks with my finger. That's not quite the effect I'm going for. It's kind of a short, quick little smudge. I'm starting with my finger on my tracer and just pulling outward away or pushing outward away in short little motions like this. When I've made it all the way around, I'm going to carefully peel my tracer away, and that will be nice and clean and white on the inside if I've kept my tracer in place. A big mistake students make sometimes is they forget to hold that tracer in place while they're smudging, and then they don't have this really clean white edge because your finger gets on the inside. So you want to make sure you're holding it in place while you're smudging, which will make a mess of your tracer, but that's fine because that's the purpose that it is serving. So then I'm going to start another one. If I want to use a different color scheme, I can. Something to consider if you're using a different color scheme is to be careful, because let's say I wanted to use yellow and orange next. When I smudge, it might drag some of this green that's been deposited onto my tracer into my smudging. So sometimes using multiple colors with the same tracer isn't the best idea. But if you want to explore that for your own artwork, I'll let you kind of figure those things out on your own. Sometimes that's the best way to learn. Okay, when you're finished, you might find that there's a little bit of these little kind of pieces of residue from your oil pastels. You can tap those off your paper if they bother you. And then you're ready for next steps. If you want to include some other St. Patrick's Day themed imagery like gold coins, I like to use an oil pastel for those and just draw some circles. You don't have to though, you could use crayons or markers or colored pencils or whatever floats your boat. I'm just gonna kind of make them look like they're scattered about. For the next step, I'm gonna create some little circular rainbow confetti. I'm gonna use markers for that because I can make smaller circles more easily than I can with oil pastels. But again, if you have a different preference, you can use that. Finished with your rainbow confetti, one last step that you might want to add if you have the supplies is a little bit of gold glitter. Okay, once you've added your glue, then you'll just sprinkle some glitter to cover those glue spaces. Then you'll just get another sheet of paper that you can use to tap the excess glitter onto. When you're finished, you'll have a little bit of sparkle. Happy St. Patrick's Day.